Hey guys, welcome back to Apt Code. We are going to start a new series on Android and Firebase and those stuff, right? So, in this tutorial, what we are going to do is we are going to use Firebase, Spring Boot, and Twitter for create a authentication and authorization system, right? So, Twitter will be the authentication or the authorization provider, and we are going to use Firebase and Spring Boot as the backends, right? So, if I go to the the diagram, how this works. First, we have Android application which need to sign in, right? Which need to use a sign in using Twitter or whatever the authentication mechanism, maybe Facebook or Google or something, right? Here we are going to use Twitter. So the first one is user need to type on the sign in button, then it will open a Twitter authentication or the sign in page, and it asks for the user consent. Then user can grant the permission and sign it. So that's the step 3. Now it calls Firebase callback URL, which we need to set up on the Twitter developer account for the Twitter app. So that is we are I'm going to show you that one also. And now Firebase and client SDK knows that user is signed in. So that is the step 4. Now we need to call with our backend, but backend needs to know this user is authenticated and have the privileges to do something, right? So in the step 5, client SDK can ask for the user ID token and send it with the request into the Spring backend, right? So in the backend, we can use Firebase admin SDK to verify the ID token and authenticate whether verify the user is authenticated and authorized one, right? So that's the whole picture of this authentication solution. And in this part, I'm gonna focus on the Android, Twitter, and Firebase, which is the client-side authentication part, right? In the next part, we'll talk about how to do the request and how to verify the user in the backend, right? So let's start. Okay, guys, let's create Firebase project. So first of all, you should have a Firebase account, and let's create a project. So this I'll take this as app code project. I need to accept the Firebase terms and press continue, right? I'm going to enable Google Analytics for this project. So there will be crash detection support and other stuff, right? So analytics location, I'll keep this as the default things, and let's create the project. Okay, project is ready now, so let's press continue button. Okay, so I'm now in the project. Now we need to add our app, our Android app, to the Firebase, right? So we need to create the Android app next, right? So I'm in Android Studio latest version, so let's create a new project, right? So I'm going to have empty activity, and this will be app code. Language, I'll be using Kotlin. Let's click finish. Now we can add, and we need to generate the debug sign-in certificate, which is optional, and I'll show you how to create that one using Android Studio. Let's wait for the syncing process to complete, right? Okay guys, so syncing has completed now. Next, what we need to add is debug signing certificate. So to do that, I can go to root in the Gradle window and go to Android underneath the task, and you need to double click the signing report, right? So here we need to debug signing report. and copy this SHA-1 value, right? Now we need to download this google services.json file and add it to our applications root directory in the app module root directory, right? So let's download it and let's move it to our app directory. Okay, so if we go to project view and go to app, we have this google services json, right? So we are good to go. Next we need to add these Firebase SDKs to the Android project, right? So let's first check that project level build.gradle file has this Google repository and this class path line for the Google services. And let's go to build.gradle, and if we check this one, we have this Google repository already added, and what we need to add is this class path for the Google GMS services. And we can really, okay, so that's fine guys. And now we need to apply this Android application plugin and Google GMS services this plugin, right? So let's go to app level build.gradle file, and now we have that Android application one already there, and we need to put this one at the bottom of the line, right? Another thing I have noticed, we have latest version, and we can use the latest one here, right? So and here we have the latest one. Okay, so now all good. So let's sync the project again. Okay guys, application is now synced, right? So now let's go to the Firebase tutorial on how to authenticate with Twitter. And if we look at the steps, we have created the Android project and added Firebase to Android project, right? So now we need to have a Twitter provider, a Twitter developer account for getting API key and API secret to register in the Firebase, right? So let's continue the steps. So we have added this plugin, and I have missed something. We need to add the analytics library. So let's copy the implementation of the analytics library and put it in the app build.gradle file. We can update it to latest version, and let's run the application. Okay guys, we got an error saying library version is smaller than this one, so we need to increase this one for the moment, and let's look at it later on. So update it and sync. Because of this Firebase analytics, sometimes it defines the minimum mistake as 16, so we cannot use the lower one, which was the 15, right? So let's run it again. Okay guys, we got the application running, and let's check the Firebase page. Okay, so yeah, we got the message, congratulations, you successfully added Firebase to your app. So let's go to console. So in here we have these several things like authentication and stuff. So in this tutorial, what we are going to do is do a Twitter authentication and verify that one in the backend. So this kind of full-fledged authentication mechanism. First I I'm going to use Twitter as the starting point. So if we go to authentication, so we have set up sign in methods and several templates and stuff, right? So let's go to Twitter, and here we need to add the API key and API secret, and pass the this callback URL to Twitter developer console as the callback URL, right? So we need to create a Twitter account, and we need to have a developer account in there to create a project to link this one, right? So here is app code Twitter account. So if you want to get updates and stuff, uh, follow us in the Twitter, right? So I'm going to create a Twitter uh, developer account, right? So let's go to developer thing, and right, so let's go to apps, and we need to create an app, right? So let's create app. First we need to apply for developer account, so let's apply. Okay guys, so I have applied to developer account using this code account, but it was like crazy steps, and we need to provide what are our ambitions, our expectation from the Twitter data, what are we going to do with them. So all those stuff we need to provide, right? So I'm just fill data, but we need to wait for the confirmation, the acceptation from them to create an app. I can't create an app here. So what I'm going to do is I have another account, and this is an application I have created earlier, and I'm using this one. Steps are the same. So you need to create an app after you get in the permission for the developer account. So I'm going to this application and edit details, and what we need to change is callback URL, right? Here we have this callback URL, and copy that one and paste it here, right? So okay, so next what we have to do is give this API secret API key, and API secret key, and save it here, right? So now Twitter is enabled. Guys, I'm back in Android Studio. So in the view I added a sign in button, and in the main activity let's add the Firebase auth as a property. Okay, let's add a package for the view models. Here I'm going to add the view model class called sign in view model. So let's create a class which extends the view model from the Android X architecture component package, right? So now we need to resolve that one. First of all, let's add on click listener for the sign in button. I'm setting it as this, so we can implement the v1 click listener handler here, and use the when construct to check for the sign in button. And let's add a method called sign in with Twitter function actually. So in that function we should call the some function in the view model, right? So let's create the late init var for the view model, which is type of sign in view model. We need to resolve that one, so we can get view models providers this is come from extension package actually. So I'll show you lifecycle extensions, right? So of these, and we can use this notation for the accessing the sign in view model, right? We are good to go. So let's create vm.sign, call the method sign in with Twitter, right? So we haven't created that one, so we need to pass the activity and the Firebase auth, right? So let's create that function. Let's change the main activity to activity and rename the variable. Now we need to check the pending auth result. So let's add the on success listener for the pending auth result and the failure listener, right? So first we need to check that whether pending auth result is available or not, right? Is it null or not? If the pending auth result is not available, that means we can call the sign in start activity for sign in with provider method, right? So we need to create the provider. So let's create that one, auth provider. We need to call dot new build method on the auth providers class, and we need to pass activity and the auth provider actually build that auth provider, so we need to build it and pass it, right? And we need to add on success listener and also on failure listener. We can use alt L for formatting the code, and now we need live data to notify the activity that we got the response, right? So let's add a mutable live data of type auth result, right? Yeah, it's equal should. If this in the success listener, we can pass the result to the live data using post value method. If it is failed, let's log that one. Yeah, for the success path for the start activity thing, we can add the same. Let's add a log for the failures. Now we need to observe the live data. We can access auth response and observe. In the observer, we can get the auth result. So it can be null. So we need to check that if it is not null, then for the moment let's have a toast. I'm using long duration, and we can format the code again and go back to auth response. We need to make it nullable. We can send a null in the failure state, right? So same to the start activity for sign in with provider method, and we need to mark it's nullable. Okay, now we don't have any users in the authentication tab in Firebase, so let's run the application. Right, so we can press sign in with Twitter now, and yep, it will open a Chrome tab and navigate it to the Twitter sign in page, right? So I have already entered my username and password, so let's click sign in, and it should take me back to the activity. Right, we got successfully authenticated message, so we are in good shape. So if we look at Firebase console, we got a one user. Stay tuned for next video and subscribe to our channel if you found this helpful. Thank you.